A nation changing, a killer unstoppable. Presidents changed, wars started and ended. New pop stars rose and faded, and the political paranoia of the 1970s gave way to the entrepreneurial fever of the 1980s, yet none of this had any impact on Samuel Little's life. His modus vivendi remained the same, driving across America, finding victims, raping and strangling them, then dumping their bodies in ditches or hiding them in the woods. Later, he would proudly admit that he had never killed anyone truly important. No police officers, no journalists, no officials, no politicians. He didn't want to cause too much noise. Instead, he chose those already cast aside by society. The weak, those trapped in ghettos with no hope of escape. But no one can predict the full consequences of their actions, not even Little. The FBI's new weapon, VICAP. In 1985, the FBI launched a new crime-fighting initiative with a straightforward name: VICAP, Violent Criminal Apprehension Program. Its mission? To track and catch serial criminals by collecting DNA, samples, and other data from unsolved crime scenes. At the FBI headquarters in Quantico, analysts believed that even if a serial killer's pattern wasn't immediately obvious, it would become clear over time as evidence accumulated. Recognizing patterns, signature, behaviors was key to linking separate crimes and tracking down murderers. The murder of Denise Brothers. In December 1994, Samuel Little found himself in Odessa, Texas, a small, unremarkable town, one that might someday be remembered only as the setting for Twin Peaks: The Return. There he crossed paths with Denise Brothers, a 38-year-old woman with a difficult past. Denise had married young to a violent, dangerous man. Her later husbands were no different. She struggled with heroin addiction and worked as a prostitute. But despite everything, her greatest joy in life was her 4 sons: Dennis, Damien, Dustin, and Derek. Not all of them lived with her. Her eldest had left home, and the youngest had been taken by Child Protective Services due to her drug use. Still, she never stopped thinking about them. She tried to keep them fed and happy, ensuring their rooms were warm and clean. Denise met Little by chance when he drove past her house in his white Cadillac. He invited her for a ride and then offered both her and her pimp some heroin. Neither hesitated. Soon, all 3 of them injected themselves right there in the car. Eventually, the pimp left, leaving Denise alone with Little. Samuel drove into a dark alley. When Denise leaned in to perform oral sex, he began strangling her. It went on for a long time. Little enjoyed prolonging his victim's suffering, making sure they lost consciousness but didn't die right away, forcing them to drift in and out of awareness. All the while he masturbated because for him, murder was better than sex. When he was finished, he dumped her body in a vacant